had on our lineup. So no copyright stuff. But yeah, so we're good to go though.
You live on YouTube, not on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
All right, now you going live on Instagram.
Okay, cool. All right. What's up, y'all? It's Work Hard, Play Harder. We're back again with Garage Party, but we have a special guest, Jaquan Grand. So welcome.
Appreciate you guys for having me.
So we actually did a little question before that I kind of wanted to do on camera. So you asked us like where we from, BA. I still don't understand that question. Like from like, can somebody answer that for me? Like, is from like where you're born at or where you were raised or like where you grew up?
I would go with that more.
Where you grew up? Okay.
That's the thing I take. Like in Connecticut, stayed there for like 4 years, and then my mom is originally from Portsmouth, so she moved us back from Connecticut to Portsmouth, and I stayed there till I was like 14. So I say I'm kind of like most of my life I was in Virginia. I moved away and was gone for a bunch of years, but anytime anybody asks me, I always say Virginia. So yeah, I think it's how long you've been in the place, how long you was raised for sure.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, yeah, I think we all kind of grew up in VA, as we talked about. We're actually really excited to have you because we have some exciting stuff coming up this year.
Yes.
Like,
I'm excited.
Yeah,
for sure.
Tell them a little bit about what we talked about in our last few meetings as far as like what type of education you do and who you help.
So the help that I do is everything is centered around monetization, trying to make sure artists figure out how they can kind of like profit from their work.
Right.
A lot of artists don't know the certain steps they can take to try to profit from it. I specialize in one of those areas, not all of them, but the one that I specialize in is centered around sync licensing. So we talked a little bit about just what that was and how long I've been into it and the things that I've seen so far. So our goal is to try to make sure that we can kind of lay down a foundation if somebody's interested in getting in that field, figuring out what direction they need to take to kind of like win. So that's what we're kind of planning for. So that's what we was talking about during our meetings.
Okay. So can you explain sync licensing for people who aren't really familiar? Just like a brief like intro to what it is.
So the simplest way that I can kind of explain it is if you ever watch any of your favorite television shows, any of your favorite movies, commercials, video games, and you hear music in the background, that music is basically being synced to that actual picture. That's basically what sync licensing is. So you get a license for that specific project to play that specific song or play that specific audio. And then the artist or songwriter or the master holder of that song gets a percentage of whatever type of deal that they kind of work out and get paid specifically for that.
Right.
And it varies, what you talked about before. So that's kind of in the nutshell. So simplest term, music that you hear on television or film.
Okay. So answer this. What makes you the go-to person for sync licensing?
For sure. I think I just been in the space a little bit longer than the average person. Not too long, but most of the people that I've talked to, it's brand new to them. They never even heard that term before. And they're like, what? So the space is just I'm somebody who's been in it for a little while. I've seen success in it multiple times. And I feel like I can provide some type of advice and guidance that kind of help some of those artists or creatives figure out, basically navigate that landscape, because it can be extra.
Right.
Even somebody who's still dealing with it now, like it can be very challenging. So that's kind of the goal.
Okay. So what about your personal like success with sync licensing? Like what type of opportunities have you been able to get?
First and foremost, I got to talk about how I got it. So I used to go to this school called SAE Institute. It's in Atlanta. It's a music school for audio engineering and music business. I graduated with my associates, but around that time frame, I was doing music with my bros, and we somehow got connected with this event that was happening in New York. And we packed this old 2007 Honda, drove to New York. It was like Governor's Island, and we performed. And during our performance, we met a producer there, and he was basically, because around the time frame, I think the event was, we got there late, so they were like closing up. They were like, you know what, you guys can perform, but we're actually packing up to leave.
Yeah.
So people were heading out the door, and we're like, bro, do we still want to perform? Do you want to leave? Like, it's like only 10 people here. Like, should we go? So I'm like, bro, we just drove almost 10 hours. We were stuck in DC traffic, New Jersey. Like, I'm like, bro, we're gonna do it. So we performed, and it was a producer who was literally behind the stage. There's a video on YouTube, which is crazy. He's packing up his bags. And as he's packing up his bags, you kind of see him kind of glance back and forth because he's checking out the song. And he basically puts his bag down and start basically dancing to the song. So perform the record. He came up to us like, hey, can I get a picture with you guys? And I'm like, oh yeah, cool. Take a picture. And he was like, hey, I would love to work with you guys. Like, I would love to just do something with y'all. Like, I love your energy. I love your songs. And I'm like, let's collaborate. So like a month or two passed after that. He sent us over a beat, and we're not thinking anything of it. Inside of SAE, you have like studios. Like, our classrooms are actually music recording studios. So we're in our classroom and we're working on music. And my little brother at the time, he was like, yo, should we work on that song that Conrad Clifton sent us? And I'm like, sure, let's do it. Work on a record. I write the hook. My brother writes the verse, his verse, and I'm saying the hook. My brother is saying the verse. We send it to him, not thinking anything of it. 2 months after that, I'm home and I turn on MTV The Challenge and I hear my voice. I'm like, what is going on? I think this is me right here, but I can't really. Is it really me? Because I'm confused. So first thing I do, get in contact with him, like, hey, what's happening? And he was like, oh well, that's just sync license. I'm like, what are you talking about? He was just like, he started explaining it to me, telling me the backstory. And then 2 months after that, I got a check in the mail. And that's when I was like, wow, you can actually get paid from it. Oh, wow. So it wasn't nothing too huge, but that was the first check I ever received. So it just blew my mind. And I basically started doing my own research, started doing what everybody would do, paying for courses, going to seminars, trying to figure out because it's so ever changing. There's not just one specific way. So I was able to actually, and every time I tell people this story, they're like, what? Like, I paid $500 to get myself in this room, right? And it was this room where you had all these supervisors and people who basically control what audio goes on those specific projects. And I was in there, and I was in there with a bunch of other industry people who was literally, they were huge. Like, they were like artists and like little me indie artists, no really experience, and we're playing music for this supervisor. And I remember I played like 3 of my best songs, and he was like, I really like those songs. Like, can we talk afterwards? And I'm like, yeah, I guess. And from there, I built a relationship with him. He took me under his wing, taught me everything he knew, taught me the proper steps to pitch, how to pitch, what supervisor looked at. I got my first placement on my own, which was on this MTV show. I don't know if you guys ever hear. It's called Ghosted. So it's kind of similar to like Catfish. So got on that show, and then from there it started happening like almost every other month where I was seeing stuff happen. So yeah, I literally was like, that was kind of my aha moment when I was like, wow, okay, I can figure this thing out. And I just literally just kept grinding. There's people who I looked up to in the space, so I was always quick to just ask questions and say, hey, whether that was people who were like artists themselves or like other publishers, or like I said, supervisors, just figuring out how I can navigate it on my own. And then I started seeing like some success. So I've been grateful thus far, but it's like I say, it's a grind. It's not something that's like truly guaranteed for sure. So
yeah, you definitely sound like you've had enough experiences to even be educating on the topic. So that's good. I know when we had first met you though, you talked about getting on Netflix. I don't think I've watched that episode yet. So what episode, what season, so we can all go back and receipts. And
don't quote me, okay? Because that was like almost 2 years ago, but it is on my Instagram. I know that the show is All American. That's what we was talking about. The name of the episode is My Name Is My Name. Okay. So that was the first time me getting on Netflix, and that was huge too because it was around the time the pandemic was just starting to end, and everybody was trying to figure out their next move. And I was like, wow, at that time I don't think I had any placements like around the whole entire pandemic. So I was like, man, I got to get something. And lo and behold, the doors open up, and I'm at home with my wife and we're watching All American. It's like, here I go again. Like I'm on these shows. And that was just kind of like an eye opener for me because I was like, wow. At that time, I didn't know anybody, like nobody, like whether it's my peers, somebody who I looked up to, nobody was on Netflix. So that was a cool thing for me to kind of like give myself a pat on the back, like, wow, I think I can, start to, uh, I guess you can say, level up. And it's just been growing since then. Like my biggest placement that I'm truly happy for, only because like I'm a diehard NBA fan. This past November, I got on an NBA actual game. So it was the Lakers versus the Toronto Raptors, and the Lakers is my favorite team. So I'm watching my favorite television. I'm hearing my voice at the same time. So to me, that's just been a little bit more special. But yeah, for sure. So it's been cool, man. I've been blessed for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So I do want to get into your artistry a little bit more. So you say you have an upcoming project, you could talk about that, but also get into your creative process for that particular project. If you experienced any creative blocks, how you got through that, all that good stuff.
So for my creative blocks, I like to say I wouldn't necessarily call it weird, but for me, when I'm going through like a creative block or it's like it's hard for me to write specific songs, I put myself in like a dark room. So like I have my office, I would turn my lights off, I sit in there and I just think about the concept. I just think about how I feel at the moment, how I feel at the time. I'm always playing the beat, whatever I'm writing. And this is if I project that was a label project, so I own my own independent label. So a lot of the records we were doing, I work with the neo soul artist, so we're basically kind of like tag teaming off of each other. But the whole project itself is hip hop, R&B, pop, neo soul, just kind of working on that. Um and as far as my new single that I just released, is called Growth. So it's a song that I released on the 24th. It's a motivational song. I try to push motivation as much as possible. I think there's a energy shift that's kind of happening right now with hip hop, but a lot of people are kind of starting to think about like, well, I think the stuff we're hearing is kind of becoming like watered down or redundant or whatever, and they just need a breath of fresh air. So I've been in this space recently where it's just, how can I give someone guidance or advice or just a real feel good vibes outside of like all the negativity in the music somehow, and still be authentic within myself. And that's kind of been, I wouldn't say necessarily a challenge, but I'm learning as I go. So I've been working on that, and just been trying to push this whole motivational tip. Me being a dad, I think that's huge as well too. So when I'm playing certain songs for my kids sing all my songs. Some songs I'm like, hey, let me turn it off. They be saying that one, but yeah. So I just, it's one of those things where it's like I'm just growing as an artist. Like I've been doing music for a long time, man. So like I'm going on 15 years.
Oh wow.
So
15.
yeah, so I started when I was little baby.
It's my lucky number.
15. I was literally in Portsmouth with my friends, and we were rapping over. I know I'm gonna sound really old, but we were rapping over tape recorders. So I don't know if y'all remember Busta Rhymes. I'm 30.
Oh my God, you're not that old. But like when you do say like tape recorders, I'm like, that's not.
Maybe he's about 40, but at that time, like it was frowned upon to say. It's still to this day, you kind of get some people when you say, "Hey, I'm a rapper." They're like, "Rap," you get like this weird thing. It's topping over Busta Rhymes, touch it, touch it, Brent. So that was like, yeah, that was the introduction to it, and I knew then and there as a teenager, like I think this is something I want to do for the rest of my life. And I'm grateful to it. I'm grateful enough to say that even when people doubted me, whether it was like friends, family members, people always say my teacher said I would never do. I never had teachers like that told me I couldn't amount to nothing, but definitely did have some families that say, no, you need to be in school. No, you need to be doing this. No, you need to be doing that. And I tried a lot of those things, like to kind of like live through them,
Mhm.
and kept coming back to music somehow. I think it was like the way that I vent. And I remember, I'm getting deep with y'all now, but I remember, you know, being 18, joining the army, right? So I'm an army veteran.
Thank you for your service.
I appreciate that. No, seriously, I remember, and this is, I remember we're standing there in front of, you know, all of our higher ups, and they're asking that they're going on this line like, why did you join the America's Army? And you hear people say, well, I did it for school. Why did you join America's Army? Well, you know, it's a tradition. My grandfather, my uncle, you know, why did you join it? You know, you just hear all these different responses. They come to little old me. Why did you join America's Army? And I was like, well, to be honest with you, I joined it because I realized I'm gonna need capital to support my straight like that. I had that mindset at 18. Yes, they're like, wait, what? You're here for what? I'm like, I know I need money to take.
Run that back.
They're like, come, you gotta say that one more time. And that I caught a lot of flack. I caught a lot of flack, like horrible flack. But I stuck through it. You know, I stuck through it, and I was able to see the other side. And it's so much heartbreak in this thing, but also a lot of joy. Because even us, I know we talk a little like, you know, talking about the Netflix thing. It's like that didn't happen until almost 2 years ago. So you're talking about there were years of nothing happening, right? And I've always been that one to invest into myself. That was never an issue. There was never an issue of networking or doing those things. Like I was in Atlanta for like 7 years. Just, hey, my name is such and such.
Really?
How can I provide some type of like value service? We don't know. You got here. Our next person. So I'm very big on going door to door. You know, I'm very big on, you know, boots to the ground, what I need to do to kind
That
of.
takes a lot of courage to just
Yes.
be going up to random
No,
people's
seriously.
houses.
Well, definitely, I was real big on that. Like, I would walk up to people. I remember, which I don't want to throw too many like. I don't know if this is somebody. I remember I met Chance the Rapper, and he kind of left an impression on me for sure. It was one of those moments where I kind of questioned if I should be in this space.
Oh, wow.
And I, like I was saying before, like I didn't allow anybody to deter me from like my path. Because a lot of the time frames people tell you those things because they can't do them, or they just don't know you well enough. Like I've always been, I never would say like I'm the best artist, the best rapper, the best this and that, but I always pride myself on working the hardest.
Yeah.
I remember being in rooms with people and they're like, man, you know, I can't pay for studio time right now. Like I don't have it. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go work at Starbucks real quick, just so I can get a check to pay for this for all of us. Like that's the type of like person that I was. So it's like I said, I took it serious. And the things that are starting to happen now, I just feel like there are blessings from all those hard times that I had to, you know, experience, getting the nose, experiencing lose times. I was in the red. I never crossed the. Last year was the first year where I was able to see more than I put out. I made way more than what I put out last year.
For your art?
For my art, yeah. So everything I put out for art 2023, I tripled that in profit. So that's the first time I can say that. So it's like I, you know, beat myself on the chest. All those things because it takes so much as us as artists trying to see that, because a lot of us we don't know where to go. Like we have the drive. It's just we don't know where to go, where to apply it to. Definitely. And I'm one of those ones who I didn't know where to go. I just literally, like I was telling you, I was wandering. Hey, how can I figure this out? But when it came time to work, I was willing to work no matter what. So
no, this is your interview. You're good. I was gonna ask, so what's a piece of advice that you wish someone would have told you getting into your music?
Woo, that's powerful. Can the church say amen? That is powerful. So advice, say that one more time.
A piece of advice you wish someone would have given you when starting music, or you know, when you were getting into being a music artist.
First thing that popped in my mind, this is a business that you have to spend money in. It's not something where it's funny. I seen someone talk about where it's like being a musician, whether you're an R&B singer, just anything with art in general, you may kick out more than you receive,
Mhm.
and there's never no guarantee that you're going to make it back.
Yeah.
So you have to be comfortable with that. Like, there's no job somebody would go to and work knowing that they're not going to get a paycheck.
Yeah.
This is one of those things. So early on in my career, I wish somebody would have told me, like, you're going to spend hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars investing into yourself, and you're going to receive nothing.
Yeah.
Because to me, early on, I was a child, like 15, 18. I thought, talent, yeah, put me in any room. I'm going to get myself together. We're going to be good. Yeah, I'm going to just rap. We ready. No, it never happened. Even if I was in the room. There's one time when I was in school, actually, I actually sat in a room with Sean Garrett. So I don't know if you guys know Sean Garrett, the pen. He wrote a lot of songs for like Beyonce. There's a lot of different people. But he sat there and he was talking to me and like a bunch of other students. And he said something that it just blew my mind. But he was like, a lot of you guys in this audience right here are trying to get my attention. You're trying to work with me. You're trying to figure out how you can send me music or whatever. I'm just here to tell you this. I am not focusing on that. Like, I have my own dreams, my own career. I'm focusing on me.
Mhm.
You need to be networking to your left and your right because you never know who these people are going to be.
Yeah.
And what was so strange at the time when he said it, I was like, I'm trying to process everything he was saying. But it started making sense because months and even like a few years after graduating, some of those people went on to be huge. Like, there was producers who created the song Nene. I was in class with these
Oh
people,
wow, that's
like,
crazy.
for sure. Like, hey, like how I'm talking to you, like I was around these people. So that's why when he said, I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I remember performing at showcases, like open mic showcases. I'm performing. Hey, what's your name? Oh, my name is Young Baby T. Oh, okay. My name is, like, I'm with these people when they're like at the ground and they were able to, blow. So I just think it's a beautiful thing, and I do think it's important to. So that would be like some advice I would give somebody, just like network left and right, because you never know who you're sitting next to. You never know who they're going to be. Sometimes we'll be trying to go up too much. It's like, bro, just stay here. Every success that I've been able to get has came from this way. It has never really came there.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So
Okay. So your advice would be to understand that you have to invest
for
and you might
sure,
not see a return right
Woo.
away.
And be okay with it. And trust me, it's
Yeah.
hard.
Because it is like a business. Like being an artist is a legit business. Businesses don't see, like, they're not out of the red and sometimes until 1 to 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's definitely almost like a business. So I definitely get that one. And then you also said make sure to network with people who are kind of on your same level or in your same, like,
Yeah, your peers, you just don't know. Like, I've had people tell me, early days, I'm like, hey, we should collaborate. Yeah, I'm not working with you. And I'm like, all right, cool. I do my own thing.
yeah.
Those people right now are in them DMs. Hey, bro, you saw you on Netflix, man. So we trying to. I'm like, you remember? And I hold receipts. Like, I keep them. I'm like, bro, you remember? And it pains me to say that, but it's like some people, you have to have that conversation with it. Tell them, like, bro, this is the reason why you don't do that to people. You just don't know.
Yeah.
If we all knew the future, we can act a specific way. You don't know. It sucks, but some people they're just gonna always have that. So I'm grateful that the ones that supported me when I was in that space, those are the ones. Even before I started, talking about me starting my business, right? So the business of me helping people learn about monetization, learn about sync, I was helping them out before I even created it. So I was helping them get their own placements. It had nothing to do with me. It was just like, you was with me when I didn't have anything. You were with me when, I didn't have an outlet or a platform, to do this thing. Of course, you do music, you want to yes, I'm going to figure out how I can do that for you.
Yeah.
But one thing I would never do is hold anybody's hand, right? You have to still be willing to put in your level of work, because in this space and the things I do, like, I wouldn't try to consider myself being a sync artist, but because some people there specifically, they just only make sync. I don't think that's who I am, because I create other music outside of that I know is not really great for sync. But one thing that I realized by talking to some people was go back to my other layer of advice is like, are you willing to invest?
Yeah.
Because you may have to do that in yourself. Sometimes it may just be paying that producer you really want to work with, but making sure you have all the rights, making sure you have all the stems, whatever situation you have to work with. It may be investing to get in your own studio, right? I was able to, like, I've been on All American twice now, but the second time I got on All American, that one felt like the biggest compared to the first one. Like the first one was like, oh my gosh, I'm on Netflix. The second one, I damn near cried because it was like this was a record that I can say that I wrote, I recorded myself, I mixed myself, I produced the beat, I made the cover art, I did everything. One stop shop for this specific song. The other time, was people connected to the record, another producer, another person created a cover art. Like I literally did everything for this one song, and I was able to make it happen. That right there was probably outside of the NBA thing was probably one of the biggest because that's when I realized, damn. I can't. I literally, if you ask me right now, bro, you've never done it by yourself, though. I can tell you, I have, because of that. So I just think it's huge. I had the resources to be able to do that, and it did take me a while, like purchasing, whatever I needed, and having my studio together, having certain programs. But I spent all those years early on just investing into that, making sure I had all those resources that when it came time to, when somebody said, "Okay, cool, we need this," I was like, "All right, I got that right here." Do we need to get in contact with the producer? I am the producer. Well, what about the writer? Oh, that's me too. Like, you need to talk to anybody. I'm him. And it was like, let's go.
Yeah.
And when that happened, they looked at me was like, we're gonna forever work with you because one thing I want to say about sync, a lot of it is time sensitive. If you get a brief, which we'll talk about in a few, like that, and like, hey, we need this. When they say, hey, I need this, you have to be in. This is why it's so important to have your own setup because somebody reach out to me and say, hey, I need a record that sounds like Drake, Know Yourself, or something like that. Like, I need some type of song that sounds like this. Like, think about hard hitting drums, hard hitting this. I don't want to be able to say, let me call my friend. Hey, bro, you get to the studio and make me this beat. Oh, dang, you at your kid's birthday party. You can't, huh? Dang, man. So I got to wait. Then it's like, well, and especially if you're not the songwriter, hey, let me call the songwriter. You taking exams right now? Oh man, so now I'm waiting. By the time I get the record back, I reach out to that person. Hey, I got this song. The opportunity gone. We didn't already send that to that person. They already got it together. You lost out on it. So having your stuff together, and it don't have to be as simple. I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to say you have to wear multiple hats, but if you know you're working with a producer, you're working with a songwriter, they're reliable, you can call them, hey, I need you to come over now. We need to start on this tonight. We need to have this ready, sent out by tomorrow. They're a reliable person. Make it happen because I'm always big with collaboration. But you have to also tell yourself too, and this is real, okay? What I'm about to say, some people are like, you have to ask yourself two things. One, are you comfortable with splitting that pie?
Yeah.
Okay? Because there may be situations you get a check and you like, dang, okay. And that happens to me sometimes. It's like I've had situations where I wanted to work with I worked with certain people in the past, and I split whatever I needed to split, but that person really didn't do that much, if that makes sense. Like they didn't really, because I'm very big. Anytime I get a placement, I release the song, and like I let people hear the record. Hey, this song got placed. Like you guys check it out. I'm thinking the producer, whoever, hey, don't share it. Hey, make sure you put it on your story. Don't. It's like, but you just got paid, and you're not even willing to do anything outside of that. That stuff right there kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So it's like I'm very big on, like I said, loyalty. And if you're gonna be there with me, then cool, yeah, we can split the pie. But if you're weird with the record or you're weird with how everything goes, it's like I have the ability to do it myself. So yeah. So it's a lot for sure.
That's good. That's kind of why we're doing Work Hard, Play Harder. We do want to build self-sufficient artists, because that's basically what you're saying, being able to rely on your skills and your knowledge of the different areas you need to have together to get the placements or whatever the case may be.
Just get the record out. Like I always tell people, YouTube University, like there's a lot of stuff I learned just from YouTube. Like, just surfing YouTube and stuff I learned at school. Like I was very big when I was in class. I remember my professor, he literally used to teach us the course, and everyone would leave. I'm still here like, hey, so how? I'm very big on that. He's like, you still here, bro? Like, you can go. I'm like, nah, I got to talk to you. Tell me, run that back again. Like, I'm real big on that. And one time, just having that conversation with this professor who produced the music at the time, he was like, I'm going to tell you something, because he was like, man, I produced some beats for your artists. I'm like, okay, not thinking anything of it. The next day, he was talking about like somebody. He was like, yeah, it was one classmate who stayed back. I'm like, okay, this dude talking about me. He's like, he asks questions. He's always, just ready. He was just like, and I told him I produce for an artist, and he was like, if you know who that classmate is, like stand up if I'm talking about you. So I stood up. And he was just like, do you know the artist I was talking to? Told me to say this artist. He was just like, man, I'm gonna share y'all this story. And he basically broke down how he made this beat for an artist. And at the time, he tried to give it to Nas, and Nas was like, nah, he didn't like it. There was another artist who was just, he like, you remind me of this artist because how you was always just constantly just asking questions. He said this person came in and was just like, man, let me get the beat. Like, I'm ready. I got the lyrics. And he was like, I don't even know you. Like, you some kid. Like, dude, like, no, I'm giving it to Nas. And he was like, this dude was so persistent, asking me questions, just wanting to know everything about the music. He was like, I allow myself in this song. He made the song. 2 minutes later, I'm driving on the street. I hear it. I'm like, wow, this song ended up being Many Men by 50 Cent. So
wow.
he was just like, once again, just having that level of like persistence and, you know, just wanting to learn and wanting to connect, wanting to collaborate. He was just like, I'm very big on that. So
Yeah.
it's a lot for sure.
Where did you go to school?
SAE.
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh yeah, so I'm actually in school now, but I went to my college I went to was SAE Institute. So audio engineering school, like I stated before. But I think the cool thing about that was finding out that the professors and teachers were actually in the industry. Like I would literally sit in class with one of my main professors, and he would literally play songs, unreleased songs from Rich Homie Quan or Future or whoever he was working with that night.
Oh,
He's
cool.
like, hey, you know, I'm actually about to go with Wiz Khalifa. I'm like, wait, what? You about to? Hey, can we pull up? Like, no. Or you know, Mariah Carey, just everybody. Zaytoven came there, you know, and talked to us. It was a cool, really cool experience, but I never looked at it as, I want to sound crazy, but it wasn't like no, it was like I just had to learn everything I could because this is somebody who's in this space, you know,
And to be in that space.
be in that space. Like I was very, and I'm just like, you know, shoulders length, and I'm like, hey, so you on the phone with Mike Will? That's crazy. And like I'm listening to you guys' conversation on FaceTime, like wow. And I was just real big on just asking questions, and I was hearing it so many times, and this when I was 22, so I'm hearing it multiple times. Like, man, you got it, you just gotta figure it out. And that was the hardest part. I'm like, what is that mean? Like, figure it out. Just give me help. Like, just tell me. Yeah, but I'm glad that happened that way because the path that I chose and the things I've been able to see wouldn't have happened if I didn't take that route.
Right.
So I'm very big on how that happened because it made me, even like we talked about being that self-sustaining artist, like I was very big and I was blessed to be able to have resources where I can go to school, you know, and not to worry about student loans and stuff like that. I went to literally 3 schools on the military side, graduate each school. So I went from audio engineering, I went from design and media, I went from coding. So like I literally learned how to build apps. I learned how to make websites. I learned how to, you know, mark like all those different things. And every time I was doing those things and I'm in this different school, I'm like, okay, you teaching me how to do photos, I can do my photo shoot. You teaching me how to do videos, I can do my own visuals now. Like I was everything went back to my music. It was never like I was trying to be something else. I was like, how can I elevate somehow?
Yeah.
Like if I'm learning how to create a website, I can make my own website. I need an EPK. If I'm learning how to mix my own music, I don't have to call an engineer. Like I can mix it if I need to. So having the ability to do that, and there's people who I know who didn't go to school and still had success, right? So like I say, you have to take the path that you feel like is best for you. But outside of that, you have to be willing to still, which I know it sounds so cliche, but you just have to do what you're capable of and your definition of work. Because there's things that I would do, you would look at me like I remember going back home talking to my family. I'm like, yeah, you know, I spent like $3,000 this month on this, and they're like, wait, what? You ain't gonna buy you no clothes? You ain't go to the mall? I'm like, no, I invested all into this. You're crazy.
Yeah.
That's the conversation now. I'm like, well, I think this is gonna triple, so I'm okay. So you have to kind of know your own know your worth, know your own self, know your own work ethic, how you're trying to do certain things, and then you know, just let go and let God, you know, and just be comfortable with the situation. So like I was talking about before with the song growth itself is about that. It talks about, like I said, like look at yourself, look how far you done came, all the money and friends that you lost, all of the knowledge you gained. Like you was able to, you know, grow and learn so much in your own process. You may have lost so much money, you may have lost a lot of friends, a lot of relationships, but you was able to grow in your own way, whatever that was.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So
Yeah.
when's that coming out again?
So Growth is out.
Oh,
So
it's
Growth,
out.
yeah,
Are
Growth
you
is out.
performing that tonight?
Of course.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
I'm gonna definitely do some growth. Like I stated, I've been on this motivational thing, but don't get it twisted. We still gonna turn up. We still gonna have a good time. We still got records like that because I do want to make sure I try to display that because one of the biggest questions I get asked is what type of songs get placed,
Mhm.
and that question right there is so broad
Mhm.
because I always go to it depends on what type of project you're pitching for. Like if I'm trying to work on a pop film,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna come to them with a hip hop or rock song, right? Same thing with a hip hop film. I'm not gonna come to them with a country song. It just
Yeah.
depends on what you're trying to do. So I realized early on, like, well, I typically call myself a fun guy. Like I like to have fun. Like I like to move around, jump around. Like I'm very energetic, what you guys seen when I was performing last time. Like I'm talking about laying on the ground type of person, right? Like I'm very high energy. But outside of that, there's moments when I'm like, okay, cool. I just want to chill and just have a conversation through the music and just talk about stuff. So
Yeah.
it just depends on the moment. And then when I translate that to sync, I do it the same way. What do I want to do? Do I want something high energy where it's like, or do I want something that's quiet? I want to make sure whatever I create goes to the right thing it needs to go to. And sometimes it's just for me, or sometimes I'm trying to put it out to the world. So it varies for sure.
Okay. Cool. So I did have one last question because I think when you OD Takeover definitely first met.
Yes.
You and a few other times I've seen you perform too. You'll have blue paint. So can you talk about that?
Oh my gosh.
Like what that is about?
You really have a great memory because I really did not think you were gonna bring that up, what you did. No. So normally when I'm in artist mode, I do have on like this type of war paint on my face. So it's like what you talked about. It's blue, it's white, it's black. So I started 2022. I was going through this whole rebranding stage, and I sat down with my grandfather and I was talking to him, and I was just talking about like our roots and like our heritage and where we came from. And he was like, "Well, we're Cherokee, like we're Cherokee Indians," and I'm like, "I never knew that. I always knew my grandfather was Irish.
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing I ever knew. Like I had Irish in my family. My mom was a full blown Cherokee, and I'm like, wow. So that opened the door of where do I want to take this information now that I know part of my history, part of my my life, and I went through like a bunch of different phases of some horrible painting skills because I'm not great at drawing. Well, I got some pictures, and you'll be like, this looks crazy. I'm talking about pictures that my kids walking like some of those type of moments. So I was like, man, and I just started looking up the colors that represented in Cherokee, and it was like the blue mint, just like being, I guess you can say the words for it. It's like just being open, being loving, being caring. The white meant purity, and the black meant fierce, like you're somebody that's strong. So all the Cherokee warriors that had black on their faces, 9 times out of 10, they were like the actual like war child. Like they were people who would go to war. So for me, being very dramatic, I'm like every time I perform, I'm going to war. So it's like I have to put that black, So that was like my idea. And I did that.
Do that.
So you really have your questions for real though. They kind of like they're really deep.
This is to get to know you.
So I started in 2022. I wore so much that to the point where every time I went out, people would be like, "Where's the paint?" And I'm like, the ideal was to get real brand recognition for people to recognize me for something.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize the backlash of me not wearing it. People like, I want to see the paint. I'm like, well, I'm starting to break out from wearing that paint. So that kind of it made it a little bit difficult of wearing. Like when I even though I know you guys didn't catch it, like my last time wearing it was at Vibe Fest. So I had black paint on and I performed. And I walked off stage. I took it off because I realized the paint that I was using. And I actually went through like 3 different paints. It was actually caused me to have like these serious breakouts. And by me having like the black like under my eyes, I started seeing how even when I was taking it off, I kept having these dark circles like under my eyes, and I would scrub it for days. I'm like, and eventually like I would have to do like toner and all that other stuff. It was a lot of stuff, and it just became a little bit too much. So this is actually the first time I'm actually announcing this. I haven't even said anything on socials, on my website, on my email listing, but I'm actually transitioning to not wearing it anymore. So
You heard it here first. Don't expect the paint. That's not the era right now.
Yeah.
Grow with him. Grow.
yes.
Okay. Mhm.
So that's the thing right now. So I'm trying to figure out what's gonna be that thing because it's like I really, even though there's some stuff with this person, but I really like how Chance the Rapper does the 3 on his hat. It's just certain people you look at. Lil Yachty when he started off with the beads. Some people do some things that are not too invasive where they can easily like do it and it's done.
Yeah.
Even like someone like Dead Mouse. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. So he's like a electronica type of DJ. He does like house and stuff, but he wears like a gigantic helmet, like mouse
I think I've seen
on his head,
that before.
like a mascot or something.
Marshmallow.
Yeah, similar to him,
And,
very similar
and,
to
that
Marshmallow.
guy that has like cowboy hat with like the little. He hangs out with like
Okay, yeah.
With that, like he wears a whole like, hat and like face mask, and he never takes it off.
Yeah,
I
see,
have no idea what this man's face looks
See.
like. If it's a man,
or if it's a man, right?
right? Like I don't know. I don't know.
So, and that was hard though because I had a person who I sat down with. He was a SEO specialist. Like he talked about like creating, engagement and traffic for like people on their websites. And he came across my website. We sat down. We had a conversation. He was like, "Man, like this thing, this paint though, like never give that up." And I'm like, "Wait, why?" He was like, "Because." He said something to me, and it's kind of even talking about it now. It's like bittersweet. He was like, "Just picture this." He was like, "Close your eyes," and I was like, "Okay." He was like, "You're at a it's tens of thousands of people there, like your fans. You open your eyes, you see people all with face paint on because of you."
Yeah.
And I literally I saw it and I was like, "Yo," he was like, "Do you know how powerful that would be?" Like, and I almost shed a tear, just like, dang, that would be crazy for people coming to see me. Just think about if Beyonce had face paint. She's like, "I want all my fans to have on that." You know how many people would be there with that on?
Yeah.
So it's been so hard to make a decision, but it's like as of now, like, well, health is kind of, that's more important than that.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie to you, it's been difficult trying to figure out what's next because I grew accustomed to it. It was something I knew. I still paint like at my house. It's just I know immediately when I do it what comes after it. So it's kind of
to look into a different type of paint.
Right?
But I mean, so is it the effects on your skin, or is it the like expectation from your audience to like, I guess control you in a way to wear something you don't want to wear anymore? Like, what is it more?
not necessarily the second part because I don't think anybody would make me wear some stuff like regardless. But I think it leans to the first one. Like I started seeing how when I was creating content, which a lot of us know as creators, we have to make a lot of content. I started seeing how like I'm waking up, I have to keep putting this like just to make a video. And I'm doing this every single day. And I started seeing
You did have some content where
with
you
the
did
paint,
that.
and it was becoming a little bit hard. Like I didn't like the fact that I had to roll out the bed. Wait! I gotta get my face together. I have to put this stuff on before I record anything, which is another process, which kind of slows stuff down. And I think the nail in the coffin was Vibe Fest. So Vibe Fest, the times got moved up, and nobody knew, right? So I was literally at the bar and I was eating some chicken. I had just ordered food. Like I'm talking about chicken wings, fries, and I was with my cousin. We're both eating, and she's like, "When are you going?" I'm like, "I had like 4 people ahead of me. Like we're good," and we're like eating food, and then literally I see Daz by Caleb. Shout out to Daz by Caleb. He performed, and I remember the order that I was sent. He was before me, so I was like, wait, what's happening right now? So I go to Scott, who I really love Scott and everything they're doing there. I'm like, "Hey, so what's happening?" And he was kind of busy, so I ended up talking to Lou. And I was like, "Hey," so he was just like, "Yeah, you're going on next. You're next." And I got chicken grease everywhere, and and I'm like, "Yo." And my cousin, she's like, "Yo, what do we do? Like, you don't even have the face paint." She's like, "You gonna perform without it?" No, I'm like, "I have to put it on." So we're scrambling. Chicken bones are falling everywhere. We're trying to run to the dressing room, and I'm literally in this mirror, and I'm like panicking, trying to get all this stuff on. And that's when it hit me like, look at yours. Like you're literally in a panic right now, trying to make sure that this stuff is together. I'm not even soon as I was done with it, it was like, okay, get on stage. I think I normally like I put like lines and stuff. They were crooked. It was it was everything. I'm like, yo, this is not the way.
Yeah.
But I went up there, I still feel like I did an amazing job. People really enjoyed the set. But afterwards, I was like, this has to go. And I took it off. And that's when y'all walked in. I spoke to y'all. I didn't have it on, but I took it off. And I was like, man, that was so stressful right then and there.
That sounds
because that happens, you go to a venue, hey, we're ready right now. Wait, I have to get, so it's a lot. So I think that was the moment I was like, you have to start thinking about something that's going to be a little bit easier on you, where it's not going to take too much out of you. But I also understand the plan of me trying to get that, I guess you can say, turn people's heads. I knew that paint was going to do that, and it became that. Anytime I walked into a room, people are like, what the hell did this dude got? What is on his face? So I was able to create that level of like mystique, or a level of like, let's see what he's got to do, because it's different. And I was always trying to look for that as an artist. So I created it, but now it's like, damn, it's too much. So
what about trying to transform that into some type of merch that you can wear, or like make a t-shirt inspired out of the the heritage, or have a jacket, like a painting on the back of your jacket, or something else instead of your skin? I think that'd be good, because I think, like you said, I remembered it, like, honestly, and it just, everything you said after that went with the paint to me in my mind. So that's kind of how I remembered you. But, and then, like you say, you laid on the ground, and different stuff like that.
Some stuff for sure.
So it's you didn't stop there, is what I'm saying. So I don't think the paint is going to make or break you, but I think that it's still good to find a way to tie in that meaning, because it's important to the journey, basically.
Yeah, definitely. And I already got logos made and all that other stuff with the paint. Cool. So it's like, yeah. So like when I created this paint persona, I went all in. Like my website, everything was like, my logo to be pink. Like everything had to have paint, like relations to it. So
is the painted like an OT?
Yeah, that was kind of the thing. It was like whenever I was in music mode or artist mode, you got this level of Jaquan Grant, like there's paint coming out. And like I said, it worked. Everybody who I saw after that was just like, oh, you're a paint guy, like you're him, right? And I'm like, oh yeah. They're like, yeah, man, that's cool. So it was always, so I knew I was able to capture their attention, and like you stated, I was like, all right, now they're looking at me now to try to do the best show I can. So I try my best to do that every single time. But yeah, so I'm hoping, I ain't gonna say hoping, I know in the future. And first of all, thank you for the marketing genius, marketing expert. I'm gonna make sure that I try to, because I do want to incorporate it somehow for sure. Where it's like I'm still able to like display it. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, maybe we need to get on a phone call.
Yeah, a little production. But so my very last, for real.
This time.
Yeah, this time. Sorry, y'all. Is your stage name Jaquan Grant?
Yes.
So that's your real name?
That's
and
not
your
my real name.
Oh, my bad.
So
it sounds so like
it does
a real
sound
name.
real.
Okay.
When I tell you my real name, you're gonna be like, what? Okay, that's the same. My real name is Jaquan Grant. So yeah, see, I told you you're gonna say that. So you basically just take the T and you put a D.
Why?
So actually, that you asked me why that name is, why I created that name, or?
But what? Just dropping the letter.
Yeah. So why did you create that?
Because I would just use the name, your regular name.
No, so being an artist who's been doing it a lot of different times, I done went through 4 name changes.
Really?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Some of them probably can't tell you guys because they sound so horrible, so terrible.
It's cool.
But the name that I was really sticking with the longest was 2 Up. So it was short for 2 Up, 2 Down, being from Virginia. So I would go to any places and be like, yeah, 2 Up, 2 Up. That's what's tattooed on me. Like I was 2 Up for the longest. And what really kind of started changing was I started going to certain places and people would be like, okay, they would call me my name. I'm like, well, I'm 2 Up. Like, okay, Jaquan. I'm like, no, I'm 2 Up. But they couldn't like different. I guess they couldn't just like separate the artist from the person. Okay. So I was like, I think I got to start incorporating my name. And I started thinking about artists that I like, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, people who actually incorporate their name in their actual artistry. And I was like, I could do something like this. And then my little brother who's an artist as well. We used to be a part of a group called the Rookies.
Mhm.
That was like my start of all this stuff, which we'll talk about another time. But his name was Keon Great. So we have the same last name, right? His last name is Grant, mine is Grant, but he changed his to Keon Great, like Keon the Great.
Oh,
And I was like, oh, that's so dope. Like, I really like how you did it. So I was like, I want to do this too. How can I keep the GR? But, and I just was thinking about stuff, and I was talking to one of my friends, and they was like, everybody keep it 100. I keep it 1,000. I keep it 1,000. I keep it $1,000. I'm like, I keep it $1,000 as well. Jaquan grand, because I keep it $1,000. So that's kind of how grand came about. It wasn't even like even creating it, I wasn't even thinking about the T or whatever. But it does confuses a lot of people, like, because I send the email of Jaquan grand. They're like, is this your? No, this that. So I get that question a lot.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Well, thanks for coming today. I know I asked you 1,000,001 questions, but I feel like I had to give the people, because we're going to be seeing you at our workshops and stuff. So I did want people to get a better, look at who you are.
Yeah, we family now.
Some of your,
we family.
accreditations, your receipts and stuff. Take account of that you're helping people, and that we can basically share your information for anyone that to get what type of service you provide. So if you want to do a last call to action for anybody, I guess, that you help, who are the people you help, and what message would that be to have them contact you or whatever?
First and foremost, thank you so much for having me on this platform. I really like everything that you guys are doing. Actually, I love everything that you guys are doing. I think it's so important because it's weird, man. How I came up, we didn't have these type of platforms. These platforms didn't exist. So just to see, you all are doing this, Black owned, independent. I just love everything that you guys stand for. So I just wanted to just give you guys y'all flowers for that. Thank you for having me. Last call to action, like I stated before, is just, if you guys want to tap in with me, if you want to get information about how you can get your records in film and television, or just if you just need guidance on anything artistry related, I call myself a one-stop shop. Definitely tap in with me. So my biggest goal has always been to help. I feel like I've been trying to do that on my journey, on my path. And I realized I had to help myself first. And I feel like I've been in that space to help myself. Now I'm trying to help as many people as I can. Make sure you tap in with me. My website is www.jaquangrand, not the T, so nd.com. And you guys can you can see my email list, and you sign up for my email list, and you book a free consultation, 30 minutes, and we basically just figure out exactly what you want, what you're looking for. Maybe you just want information, you don't really need services, you want to figure out on your own, which is totally fine. It's free, the 30 minutes. Everything after that, you have to add a meal to it. Okay, so we'll talk about that as well if you definitely book something with me. So yeah, just tap into my website, and we'll go from there for sure.
Okay. I was your host, Kayla.
Thank you guys.
Yep, co-hosting. We had the support team on the side, Drew and Paris. We got the crowd in the back. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was pretty much our episode with Jaquan Grant. So we're gonna go into his performance next of Growth. So stay tuned for that, and thank you guys for watching.
Woo!
Well, I feel like this been a long night, y'all.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be the support.